Good afternoon, everyone. Here we are,
Oh,
pouring concrete in a matter of hours, it sounds like.
Friday afternoon.
wow.
Look at,
Afternoon's our first.
That's very exciting.
That is exciting.
first order of business is the minutes from.
Who gets to pour the concrete tomorrow?
Friday.
Who gets to do it?
You.
Yeah.
Must teach you.
There you go.
You can vibrate and
They're ready.
Steve can trowel.
Not saying anything, his hands look pretty soft. I
Yours is a plumber, man. Come on.
don't know. Word on the street is, anyway,
Easy.
easy. So, yeah, so meeting in minutes from July 23rd. Is there a motion to approve? Motion to approve? Second.
You're way out.
Questions, comments? Anything noteworthy? Seeing none? Nothing on the screen? Roll call vote? Yes, sir.
All right, I'm a yes. Ms. Blair?
Yes.
Mr. Page?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Boucher's not here. Did Mr. Fenny show up?
Looks like no.
Okay. Ms. LaBar's not here. Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Collins?
Yes.
And Mr. Quimby?
Yes.
Do we have any no's? No abstentions. Okay.
Seeing none. Public Participation, we appear to have no members of the public. Thus,
Anyone online?
oh,
Nobody wants to hear from him.
at the very least, keep them muted.
Get the mute.
You can promote him.
We'll promote them too, Mark.
Yeah. He's gonna pour concrete if you two don't.
Yeah.
Benjamin, that's you.
Hey, cool, thank you. Before I get started, I just wanted to introduce everyone to Lynn Bannick is,
Panic.
and I'll get that down correct by the end of this. Lynn is an assistant project manager with us. She's going to be helping out with Victoria, having this birth of her second child. Everything was successful there. Happy to report. But Lynn's going to be helping out. So she'll be a familiar face pretty soon. And just, we wanted to just give you kind of some verbal updates here. Fontaine's going to kind of take you through some of the updates on site, go through an overview of that, but we wanted to focus in on some of the bidding updates that have taken place. So tonight, you'll be taking a look at amendment number 2 to Fontaine's contract. So if you recall, there are certain trades within Fontaine's contract, the general trades that they will be buying out. So for amendment number 2, that's things like site steel, concrete, the glue lam beam. So you'll be taking a look at that kind of stuff. But there are also what we call filed sub-bid trades. I believe I've explained this to the committee before, but just to refresh you, there are 18 trades that are kind of protected, if you will, by the state under the procurement laws that need to be carried out by the awarding authority, by the district. So they're bid completely separate from the general bid. And so in order to do that, it's kind of similar as a qualifications based first for the bid. And so similar to like this selection process where we went through, reviewed the qualification packages of the construction managers who wanted to propose on the project, and deemed whoever qualified through that process and from there. So right now, associated with early release package number 3, again, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection were the trades, the file sub-bid trades that were called out in that early release package. Construction team, project team felt it's necessary to get those trades qualified early so that we're ready to bid out the work with the issuance of the 90% construction drawings or documents at the end of the month. So we did receive the statements of qualifications from contractors. We got a good turnout for the qualifications portion. Mechanical contractors, there were 8, plumbing 10, electrical 6, fire protection 6, which is pretty good. Most of the contractors we knew right off the bat, or we know are hopefully going to be qualified. Obviously, the intent here is to have as many qualified contractors in that pool for bid day to just get more competitive pricing. So we're definitely, that's the MO we're going to be operating under. There might be a couple contractors who are just subject based on, a similar past experience or just their current workload. The hope is by Skanska going through this review and we're going to share our findings. We'll get to this after, but there's going to be a proposal or recommendation from us for this committee to designate a filed sub-bid pre-qualification subcommittee. So similar to what we did for the CMs, a couple of designees, one or two. We try to keep it, limited to kind of help speed up this process. We ask that it just be somebody who's kind of involved in the day-to-day, the OAC meetings or whatever, where we have updates and we share those so that, everybody's on the same page and we don't need to recreate the wheel there. But ultimately that committee will be presented with our findings. We'll have conversation regarding any of the contractors who we feel might be worthy of disqualification. And then that committee will essentially vote on it and then we'll go from there. We'll send out the qualification letters to whoever is qualified to bid the project and the DQ letters to whoever is not. And all that is aimed at, we're going to be electronically bidding the filed sub bids because there are so many of them. The bid date is, November 21st. So we've spoken with the electronic bid company. We're familiar with their process. Fontaine, the design team was all on that call. So we're aware of the, requirements that they have and kind of how to communicate what's going on with the bid to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks on this first leg. So that's mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection. We did it as two separate requests for qualifications. We still need to qualify the remainder of the trades. So masonry, roofing, mixed metals, glass and glazing, metal windows, waterproofing tile, acoustic ceilings, resilient flooring and painting. So those are the remaining trades to get underway. That's actually happening kind of concurrently. We're issuing the RFQ. That will be going live, I believe, next week. So that will become available. Contractors will have 3 weeks to submit their qualifications for those packages, and then we'll basically restart the review process for those trades.
Ben, do you have the MEP quals in hand or are you waiting for them to come in?
We have them in hand. So our hope was by forming the pre-qual subcommittee today, we can share we've uploaded everything electronically. We can share the electronic submissions. We do have hard copies, which we requested, which are in our trailer. If anybody should need to look through those. But the hope was by Skanska getting these early and kind of doing some of the review, just the cursory level stuff, reference calling and filling out the financials and stuff like that, excuse me. We can give you guys a spreadsheet, as a prompt to go from and base those discussions off of. Because we are hoping to meet with the pre-qual subcommittee relatively quick, just to meet our timeline for bidding and everything and make sure that we're able to notify the qualified bidders ahead of the actual 90% set coming out.
And that committee is what you want to establish right here, right now.
Yeah, it's a good segue into the next one. Yeah, I believe, like I said, 1 to 2 people from this committee or whatever you guys want to work out. There aren't really set parameters around it. It's just, that's kind of customary to how it's been done, but.
The recommendations, there's not parameters.
I was going to say, funny you mentioned it, Frankie, either yourself or Steve or Gordon or somebody ultimately who's going to be, like I said, involved in the every other week OAC meetings that we do have. We're probably going to be info sharing anytime that we can over the next couple of weeks in those meetings. So maybe we invite you to the Friday check-in as well. I know you guys have been involved with some of this to date. So recommend any one of the 3 of you, 2 of you, all 3 of you. As long as the committee was fine with that, but ultimately up to you guys.
I told Frank I'll do it if he does it.
Nominate you.
He said all 3, all 3 of us can do it.
He said, if we.
Big word.
We're not calling you a bottleneck.
It's fine. No, I'm happy to do it.
Frank can do it by himself, right? Is that what we're saying?
I could do it.
You want him anyway, right?
And this certainly could be an online, a Zoom thing. We can supply the information beforehand, go through it just so our.
That's all you have to do is read the list.
Okay. And again, the intent here is not to disqualify folks. It's really just to take a hard look at it. If somebody's not set up for the project that you guys are trying to run, then we're not going to waste their time. We're not going to waste your time. But beyond that, we're trying to get a good pool. So.
So this is for all the varying subcontractors.
Correct. And this will be twofold. So we'll be meeting this is just the file sub bids. So there's remaining general trades that Fontaine, they control that process. which, you know, they do a good job of keeping us in the loop with that. But these are ones that we have to qualify them. Once they're qualified, it's open to just the bid, you know, whoever's the low, we're gonna go with. So
Need a vote, Mr. Chair?
Probably.
Make a motion to appoint Frank Page to the filed sub bid pre-qualifications subcommittee.
Second.
See, guys. I think you got you. Good, if you wanted to. Or you could, it's fair game.
I just like before you said.
Next time.
That worked out great.
all right, very good. So I'll send out an email just with
Oh,
we need to vote. Sorry, you didn't have to vote.
I'm not doing this. Leave me on my.
They left you in the motion.
Yeah, I think somebody has to make another motion.
Got to make a second motion,
Well,
You can make a
Yeah,
second.
but if Frank could do it by himself, why are you gonna make you don't need a committee, right? Just one person? Is that what you're saying?
Can be just one.
I mean,
Why don't you keep it simple then? Yes,
Or then
Frank,
nice to have a backup.
Yeah, say do
you get to do it all. It's all your fault.
I can back him up if you want.
You guys.
I'll back him.
You want to, okay, do you want to
We see it
end the motion?
one at times. We see two.
Okay.
You both want to do it. Is that what we're saying?
Mhm. They don't want to, but they will.
I'll say that I will, but then I just won't show up.
Sure, that's fine.
So he's the backup.
Well, we have to though. Just kidding.
So I'll amend my motion to include Steve Crucial as alternate or as needed to the filed sub bid pre-qualification subcommittee.
Second.
Second yourself.
Second, I'll grab that one.
All right.
I know.
Forward that to Ryan. Okay.
Not this early.
Oh,
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Crucial?
I don't want to like beat this to death, but
Yeah.
if it's a backup to Frank, then do they both have to be there to vote together? I just want to clarify
I
that.
withdraw all my motions.
No, I'm not
Just
kidding.
wanna
I
make
know,
sure
like,
that's-
if we have to make a decision, it's either one of them or two, so.
You want to, all right.
So appoint them both to the committee and
How
we'll
many
move
people are on
on.
the committee
I have,
outside of?
so it's gonna be one from the design team, the OPM and from the CM. So that'll round it out. I mean, typically how these things go is there's consensus with the group on if somebody is.
I withdraw my objection.
Down to a
I
vote.
realize there were others.
Okay.
Backup is fine with me. Thank you.
It's not all
Apologies.
Frank's shoulders.
Thank you.
Yeah, Frank's just on the committee with them.
Just do it.
Perfect. This worked.
And if Frank can't make it, that's the intent of my motion that Steve is in.
Okay,
My bad.
Ryan seconded.
Yes.
Got it. All right. Mr. Crucial.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Further discussion? I'm just kidding. Keep going.
Mr. Crucial.
Look at that. It's 4:00. Yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Blair?
yes.
Mr. Page?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Margin Belcher?
Yes.
Mr. Fenny's not here. Mr. LeVar's not here. Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Christensen?
Yes.
Ms. Collins?
Yes.
And Mr. Quimby?
Yes.
Okay, passes. Nicely done.
I just had one more item under my section here. So I think we've chatted a little bit about a groundbreaking ceremony in the past, but never really got to this point. So I think we're at a good point on this project. Customarily, there are 3 big events that MSBA typically likes to see on their projects: the groundbreaking, which just signifies basically the start of construction, getting ready for foundations, that whole shebang. Then the topping off, the steel topping off, which is, signifies the structure being completed in terms of the structural steel. Oftentimes we don't time that out with the exact last piece of steel, but it's more of a celebration just of the significance. But then there's ribbon cutting. That's at the end of the project. At each of these, it's usually the district will have, 2-3 representatives who speak at them. MSBA typically the same, maybe just one speaker. But it's ultimately up to you guys to do this, select a date and everything, but I would just recommend it. I know the MSBA likes to see it, and I think it's a good opportunity for the project team just to connect with the district at large again and just, hit on a few of the highlights of the project. And, our construction team is here to help organize things. We just need to know what you guys want and when and all of that stuff. So in terms of invitations and set up with chairs and food and all that stuff, it's, you can kind of go as big or as small as you would like. Just put put that out there and offer up a discussion around it. But if we are gonna set a date to it, I would recommend that we do that relatively quickly here and that Fontaine and Skanska and the design team start to put together the pieces. So.
What's quickly? Next 30 days?
Yeah, I would say, if we could do it sometime in November, I think that's pretty typical to when we do these ceremonies. I would say MSBA needs a few weeks notice. I don't know how big you guys are trying to make it, if this is gonna be the entire school population thing, or if it's gonna be just, the stakeholders and the committee and a few people speaking, but I would just game plan around that. If you want it to be a big event, maybe give it a little more time. We broadcast it through the project website and whatever other avenues you want to hit. Or if you wanted to keep it on the smaller side. I would say in terms of significance, usually the ribbon cutting is the largest one of the three. With groundbreaking being second to that. So I don't know. Depends across the board though.
Historically, does anybody remember how they did Birchland? You know that?
Or me,
Okay, but
it was
no.
before me, I don't know.
Or you?
State representatives and such to typically.
Sometimes, yeah, it depends. I mean, that's been the case in Springfield. They have a lot of politicians who like to fill out the docket, but I've also I've been in districts where it's just, say the town manager, superintendent, and that's about it.
Me and you, Gordon.
Nice things with SBA, a few nice things about the project,
Finally get a hard hat.
and a photo op after that. So it's really however you want to tailor it.
Are they like morning, afternoon, in the evenings, and whenever?
Most of the ones that I've been involved with have been kind of mid-morning. I would say that's kind of the sweet spot, but
How about student participation, Ben? Have you seen that? Yeah,
had that in the
I'd like
past
to-
as well.
I'd like to encourage that.
So we'll just need to know if that's gonna be, the case, I think, location wise in terms of safety and when we do things and all of that's probably gonna be a big talking point. So I don't know that we need all the information from you folks today, but maybe just the date and kind of what you're thinking overall as a plan, and then we can take that into our smaller group and work out the details. So we're thinking yes to a meeting, right? Okay.
Yes.
We want to target a date in November.
The groundbreaking or the meeting?
I'm thinking for the groundbreaking. Is that too ambitious of you?
No.
November 7th.
I have no clue. I picked that date. Start there.
That's a good day.
I don't know.
What day of the week is that?
It's a
Thursday.
That gives us enough time, yeah.
After the election.
There's an election?
That's true. That's a bad week, probably.
Oh, just
No, it's happening. No. We'll all,
after it.
we'll all be calmed down. 2 days after the election, we'll be calmed down.
Maybe the week after. I can't even think of that. And there's.
Yes, actually the 11th is Veterans Day.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear objections to the 7th though, Beth, if you want to stick with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right.
Instead of jumping around,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want it early enough. Students are going to be there.
10.
Mhm.
Mess up your lunch. We go within 10 minutes, right?
Oh, yeah, I forgot lunch starts at 9:30.
30.
10:18.
You can think, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Sometimes a band comes, sometimes there's, somebody will sing and then there'll be, smaller groups, you don't have to bring the whole population on. So you think about it a little bit how you want to do it.
Do the national
So,
anthem.
yeah, national anthem, the bands usually come out a lot of times. Someone will speak, stuff like that.
Main start for us would be 9:30.
Doesn't matter to us.
That'll give us 45 minutes and also allow for passing for, get started with lots.
Let the students pour some concrete.
You may want to, generally, Ben, the MSBA kind of wants to bless those groundbreaking dates, right? So you might want to have 1 or 2 dates that work so that Skanska can check with the MSBA.
Good idea.
Yeah, I can certainly push for the 7th if that seems to be.
14th.
14th.
I'm throwing a date out there because the 11th is bad.
I thought the 7th is what we.
Yep.
Yeah.
So a second date,
As a second.
second option.
Yeah. So if you want to put the 14th as a secondary date on there, if need be. They should be able to make one of those work. I can prioritize the 7th.
Yeah, I won't be able to make the 14th, but I'm just one person.
14th, I would do 9:30.
Who's gonna say?
It doesn't necessarily need to be a Thursday if you want. If another day that following week works better.
Ben, you're gonna confirm the date.
How's the 13th?
Confirm with MSBA that works.
13th?
Yep.
I mean, thank you.
No, if,
I think it's important.
if you want, just start with the 7th. I can follow up with MSBA. If they can make that work, great. If not, I can follow
How
up.
about the 13th in your pocket for a
Keep it in case we need
Do
to.
the seventh, is the 13th work as a backup?
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe 7th and
Same time,
7.
9:30.
Yeah.
All right, so hopefully that works for them. That's fine. Then we'll just kind of need to know who from the district is speaking. We can put together a program for the event, and then just kind of in terms of the photos, typically, and I'm sure you've seen the photos with the shovels and the mound of dirt in front of it. So we'll just need to know who we need
Those goals.
space for. Yep, gotta go get it gold plated. So
They're in your budget.
please let us know.
in the budget? Okay.
Check that. That might have gotten
That's in the contingency.
beat out, but I'm sure there's a bunch of other details we'll be asking you. You guys want to provide refreshments? Sometimes we see finger foods and cocktails, beverages.
9:30 cocktail.
Lunch.
9:30. That's late.
In the lunch.
getting better and better.
I don't drink till 10 usually.
By the time.
Daylight savings by then.
All right, so we'll follow up, but I think that's a good start for us. That's pretty much all I had.
Okay. Danielle, I think the floor is yours. You can share.
So not this slide. Amendment number 2, Ben mentioned that we have amendment number 2 prepared and ready for review. Total value for amendment 2 was $30,000,335.50. This is for the early packages, so site work, which went to Gagliardi Building Concrete, which was Manafort, structural steel, Norgate with Stellar doing correction, Glulam beams, North and South Construction. The elevator is Mack Brothers. I just sent the letter through on that one. We're still working on the generator and the switchboard, but we believe it's going to be Kinsley for the generator and Wesco Eaton for the switchgear. And then for all of those, we have some scope goals to take us from the 60% drawings up to the 100% drawings, because we know there'll be some adjustments that are required. The total budget for this was 30,900,000, so about $150,000 difference right now.
So we can share afterwards with folks just what the summary is, but like Danielle said, it's good news so far with these general trades. They're coming in under budget. Obviously, this amendment includes some bridging and holes and allowances, if you will, just to protect us, but it's a good indication of where we're at, and hopefully the file subbidding goes the same way. Obviously, we have a little less control in that, but in doing the whole qualifications and everything and having a good turnout, hopefully we're following that same pattern of bids coming in under. But anyways, good news so far.
Reminder for the committee, any of the funds held in holds or allowances or any of these things to fill gaps because the documents are not yet complete. Any of that money unspent simply returns to the town. You're not losing anything by putting that protection into the budget. You're only protecting yourself.
And just a reminder to everyone, we're proposing amendments, and sometimes that's a scary word based off of, the agreements of what already has been set in place. It's not like this is a change order in any means to that $147 million construction budget that we have. It's essentially an amendment to Fontaine's contracts because until we get to the final bidding, until we get to the 100% construction documents, and they've completed all of their buyout, they won't have what's known as the full GMP, the guaranteed max price contract in place. So similar to amendment number 1, which was for the enabling work, amendment number 2 just basically puts into their schedule of values the money that was actualized through the bid process. But we're reporting that we're still on budget within that budget, and we're not changing anything with that overall number. So any questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're recommending approval of amendment number 2.
So if you're getting your MEPs on or about the 21st, so there'll be amendment 3 in December.
So what I'm thinking, I don't think we're gonna want to wait until we get final, and it's gonna be a couple months for your buyout anyways. So yeah, there's likely going to be an amendment 3 sometime in December.
Then a full-on GMP plus or minus February.
Let's call it, yeah, somewhere around there.
Right.
Close enough for argument.
Not gonna be a whole heck of a lot left to buy out after that, so.
If that'll be 2025, that's probably a good thing.
Hey, run out of time as well, so good point.
Questions? Greg, anything?
Good news. And we're sticking to the schedule. You haven't put your thing up yet, but
Yeah, I think you guys are gonna just do a brief overview schedule, but yeah. It's been good.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
that we're accepting amendment number 2. That's the motion. I move that we approve amendment number 2.
Second. Have a second.
Right?
Concerns, questions already been asked and identified, responded to. I think we can do the roll call, Mr. Smith.
Okay, Mr. Crucial,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Blair,
Yes.
Mr. Page,
Yes.
had to think about it. Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Margin Boucher.
Yes.
Sorry, messed up your name there. Apologize. Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Christensen,
Yes.
Ms. Collins,
Yes.
and Mr. Quimby.
Yes.
Okay. That's everybody.
Continuing to move forward. All right, was that it for Team Fontaine?
Amendment, small schedule up on this.
Oh, excuse me.
With some schedule milestones, drawing
Mine doesn't bigger.
packages are in there, so we expect the 90% MSBA drawings just before Halloween. We'll get those out for bidding, filed sub bids right now. I think Ben said we're due in November. Get those contractors on board. 100% design docs are early December. That'll kick off the next round of filed sub bid packages, which will be due right around the new year or just before, and then we'll start awarding those contractors and working on a GMP. And on site, just a quick overview of what we're working on. We've been grading for the building footprint, prepping for foundations.
Slide,
Next slide.
next slide.
Prepping for foundations, you can start to see in this was taken up September 23rd. You can start to see the outline of the building taking shape. That was before we removed the fiber. So you see that cutting through the middle. And that little arrow in the corner, if you go to the next slide, that's where we started prepping for foundations and they started form work this week. We'll do our first placement back in this corner on Friday.
Can we look back one, please, if you don't mind? I just want to see that outline again, just in general where it's going to land.
Yeah.
It's almost
Part of it.
more skewed than I thought I was going to.
You know, building A and B, we're raising that up to grade. So like
Yeah.
we're starting there and building
What,
D,
Greg?
just right around the loading dock. If you go around that corner there, we're heading towards the loading dock area where it's gonna go, the large duck bank that goes through there too. So that kind of is right there is building D. We go building D and E, which is both on the south side, you know, south and pushing east to west. So that area there will start in those areas there. All that rebar will be on site by Friday. So for D and E and partial C, the spine will be on site too. So we'll be working on that south section of the buildings first. And then we'll move ourselves to the north.
What did you say? It's more what?
Excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying the orientation is more skewed to the existing building than I thought. I thought we were going to be
More flush.
relatively
I mean,
lined up.
it's kind of hard and a few more. I know
As you cut through it.
Yeah, we took a little more drone footage the other day, but that's an overview of just bringing in the lower fill as we bring up the grade. So you'll see it take shape more in the next few weeks as we actually cut the footings and go through. So you'll really see how it shapes out in the more we move forward.
But we're at a 45-degree angle from the existing building.
Good point.
I think because a building hasn't been prepped yet, it's under that tarp.
Right.
It's not,
Hard
hasn't
to
taken
see.
shape yet.
Yeah, we're kind of
Okay.
over top of the pool in.
Yep. Okay.
Right. Yeah, schools further south too.
Right, but where the arrow is the educational wing, right? And so that's the back of the,
As a backside.
so that's 45 degrees compared to the existing back gym right there, right?
Mhm.
That's fair to say. I just didn't know what the orientation relatively would be, and this is interesting to see, so thank you.
Are you guys gonna remove the small gym or is that later? Or are you gonna be able to maintain it?
Are you giving it to us now?
So part of the original discussion was
Take that.
take that in the second year. That is off the table now, thankfully. And I appreciate you not taking it.
Yeah, no, we're good.
I'm not giving it.
Yeah.
They have a good 12 feet to work within.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plenty of room. We work closer.
Danielle, which stocks are you buying the MEPs off?
90%.
The 90s.
SBA drawings
And we bought amendment
Mechanical.
off the 60s.
off the 60s.
And you'll buy amendment 4 off the finals,
Yes.
working drawings.
Yep.
Thank you.
You want to stay on this one? No, you're good? Fine.
So to that point, maybe it's good to state where we are in the process. So the 90% cost estimate set has just been wrapped up. Is out in the estimator's hands while we're working through cleaning that up. So we're on our last phase to prep that 90% set to go out to the bidders right now. And team is racing along for the filed sub bid consultants, MEP, FP, they're in their 100% set. So there's a lot of, as we've always mentioned, challenge for them, trying to be sure that they're answering questions from the team now while we're putting those documents together for final review and taking in all the review comments at the same time. So that's where we are in the process.
When do the 90s go out?
They go out 29th.
28th is when we have our next school building committee meeting. That's to approve the 90%. That's when we'll have the cost estimate. That goes to the MSBA, also gets uploaded to Project Dog, which is the online distribution we're going to be using. They review it for 2 days, so it'll be out to bidders on the 31st. And they'll be Halloween, quote unquote, on the street.
And then they got 3 weeks.
Okay.
Just to that real quick before I forget, we will be setting up a site visit on November 7th, I think is what we targeted it for as well. We'll be here. I don't know that anybody from the district wants to be there.
I do too.
Bidders?
If that's our.
It's just for the MEP and fire protection bidders, should they want to and chat with us, but
The afternoon, if we do the groundbreaking in the morning.
Yeah, or they could come to the groundbreaking.
yeah, it's the same day.
We didn't announce the 7th to the bidders, so yeah, right? We can change.
No, we can always.
Change that easy enough. That's easy enough to check.
So anyways, let you know where that lands.
All right.
So as we mentioned all along, there's a separate procurement process for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So that process kind of staggers behind the documents. So everything that's attached to the building is in those documents, but we're in the process now of working through the process of confirming furniture per room. So we have detailed floor furniture plans that have taken input from the district, gone into the plans. Those plans are back in Frank's hands, and the faculty are reviewing them again. And we have in front of the faculty this process for them to actually elect their equipment needs and document that. So this process continues on with a back and forth review kind of by department through this process. Once I'll give you an update on the status of that budget tonight, just when we are, but we're not at the point of needing to make any major changes, but it's good to see just as a check-in where we are. Once we have that furniture budget essentially kind of landed where we think we need to be, also start ordering sample furniture to come in. So right now it's just a chair, a table, and we'll bring in different options from different companies so that the school can check them out. And Stafura is more actively involved with the district. I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on that, but Abby from Stafura is the main consulting advisor to this process of selection. So Stafura takes care of bringing in those pieces and being sure they're looked at. So we're in the middle of that process, and this just gives you a sample of the kind of information that we're putting in front of the teachers at the moment. And obviously the core classrooms are actually the easiest, but this is your typical core classroom layout. So you see like the built-in casework is in project. That's those three large wardrobes at the bottom. And the rest of it is loose furnishings that are, basically similar in every classroom. There is also going to be a process, which I need to remember to keep speaking about, of we need to kind of be clear on what the salvage needs are for the school. So that includes anything built into the school that you intend to salvage. So if there's any memorial information that we need to document on the inside of the building that we need to find a place for, again, that's something we need to know now. But I've also been encouraging the faculty to think in terms of salvaging equipment that they have, because some of them have recently purchased things. So we're going through that kind of department by department as well.
Yeah, Dory, I'm sorry, Sephora is FF&E consultant.
Our furniture consultant. Our IT consultant is Advanced Tech,
Yep.
or Scott, as we refer to him.
How was the FF&E budget established? Is it
So if you,
historical?
so the MSBA allows $1,200 per student for furniture, $1,200 for IT, for instructional technology per student. That's
That they fund 100%?
sorry,
That they fund 100%?
that is, yes, that they reimburse, but that's never enough. And they have not changed that number for some time. So every district is asked to add more to the furniture side of that. It works for IT pretty well, and we've kept 1,200 for IT for this school. And that you'll see, you have a slide later on that shows where we are on budget. Because instructional technology costs generally are going down, relative to what you're getting, whereas the cost of furniture is going up. So it really is impossible to fully outfit a school on $1,200 per student.
Is our per student number then? We have a different number than 12?
So yes, you do. I think it's another, I think it's 20, if you go a few
I've
slides.
got the 3011.
Yeah, if the slide's coming, you can get to it.
So the furniture budget is 2,160,000 and technology is 1.2 million.
For the school. If you go 2 slides forward, actually,
Oh, so
I'm going to get to a summary. So this is just giving you a little bit of
$1,000 per student.
information. Go one more.
I just wanted to ask a question on the first slide. So you were talking about built-ins versus loose
Mhm.
furniture. So the design work, if you would think of offices, you had built-in counters where
Right.
are there drawers then?
Yes,
loose?
sometimes. Yeah, no, the doors are built in as well. It's sometimes a combination, frankly, but for the most part, in the admin areas where we have that built-in millwork, we have built-in drawers and
Underneath. that.
underneath that as well. And
Okay.
that's part of the
So
construction.
that's not something we'd be putting on the furniture.
No.
Okay.
So, and part of why we do that is to liberate the furniture budget as much as we can.
Okay.
Will the classrooms?
Good usage.
Sorry?
Will the classrooms have any built-ins?
Yeah, so you see those 3 large wardrobes.
Okay.
One is for teacher belongings and assumes 2 faculty may be in the room. And the other is, I can't remember now, something like 1,500 volumes of books of a certain size fits in it. So it's storage. And they're flexible shelving in there that you can change heights based on your needs. So
Can any of those just, I'm thinking in terms of locking cabinets for student paperwork that's sensitive, that like classroom teachers might have. Instead of buying it and like having the separate units like they have now, can that get worked into the design of the cabinets you have built in?
what the faculty have requested, and admittedly, I work in 2 schools simultaneously right now, 2 high schools. So, but that has been a concern. So you have a file cabinet assigned essentially to every faculty member, and there's those are all lockable cabinets, and they prefer that those be on wheels. So that's
Separate,
tended
okay, all right.
furniture. You also have a teacher planning room, right, that also has additional storage. So the school might decide some things shouldn't be in the classroom at all.
And are there different levels of warranty for furniture? Or is that not even looked at, or how long can we expect to get out of them, I guess is my question.
Parts of the pieces of furniture of 5-year or 10-year warranties, and then the overall administration of the contract is a year. So, and sometimes when we are comparing different selections, we'll be looking at, you'll want to take into consideration the warranties of parts like
Right.
adjustable chairs, for instance, something like that. have that concern.
Can we assume these things will last as long as the ones we have now, or is it different these days? I mean, realistically, I want to know as a school committee, should we be prepared to
It's a, you know what,
replenish more often?
it's a little hard to, I mean, definitely the lifespan of furniture is not the same as the lifespan of structural steel. And I'd say within the range, what you're gonna have is the budget's gonna feel tight and so like you're gonna decide, do you go with a better vendor, better quality chair so that it will last longer? And then compromise your selection on something that's less critical than the chair and desk. That's kind of the approach we get. And you know, it's surprising when you see what the list price on these is, but the procurement is through a collaborative buying process and it's just really informational until we get to the final numbers. But that's part of why it's important to look at the different options because they can look the same and not be the same in quality.
Yeah, and I think our goal collectively,
Yeah.
Beth has spoken about is quality first, because we want them to last as long as possible, so.
Sorry, these guys are all state bid list, right? So
Yes, yeah. That'll be that. And even within that, you know, you're getting a good discount on better quality chips, yes, and KI because they're in the procurement list here.
So I know you're working with the teachers, but when you're done with them, I'd like to be part of the process after the, you know, because we didn't want to micromanage the teachers, but I'd like to have to be on whatever when they sit
Right.
down and talk about furniture.
And I don't know if what would be helpful, like today, for instance, I met with all the special education staff and it's actually really been great lately because you go, every time you meet with everyone, they have a lot of, you know, requests. But at this point in the project, we're showing them the plans and we're showing them the furniture plans and they're generally thrilled, you know, about what's going on. And a lot of them are super seriously involved now. And now they're hearing that they're going to get things that they never, ever imagined they would get. So there's a lot of excitement. But yesterday with band and chorus, new band instructor, they are super psyched. This is probably the happy moment, you know, then in install, there's like, wait a minute, you know, maybe this is, I need this, but like the keyboard room, and I have to say, it happens in every project, you have these changes, right? So faculty turnover suddenly. So we're looking at the keyboard room as a music tech space, which is going to have a little bit more capability than just keyboards.
Yep.
And we're still able to make those moves. So it's all very exciting. And I feel good that every time we review plans, everybody's really excited about what they're seeing. And the tweaks have been small. And sometimes I'm at the point of saying, great idea, no, but not really. I haven't had any major moments where we've had to do that. We're really just talking about kind of how they're using the room and what kind of furniture. So small tweaks in furniture of the kind of like, how do we separate a student has a need for sensory isolation in the classroom? What kind of furniture can we provide? So very specific needs rather than global changes. If you go to the budget list, so here's a summary of where we are. So the budget limit in the 3011, the financial agreement, for equipment is 2,160,000. Just based on the furniture requests thus far and how we've organized that at the moment, and again, that's under review, so it's not complete. We're at 1.6 million plus. That leaves available within that budget, you know, what we're estimating at 356,000. So it's a little bit more, but just by a little bit, but not at a level we're worried about at all. You know, 21,000 over isn't much, because it's well within our contingency and pricing hasn't really happened. We're finding right now is when we're finding, hey, we include this as an assumption and that's going to be salvaged, but we did not realize, like today we heard that in medically fragile, they need those cots to lift. Okay, so those are going to be a higher cost. So we're in the middle of just finalizing the actual needs for each room. But I think it's going well. I think even better news is that the budget for instructional technology, we're still quite healthy in being under it. I do think there will be changes there and they'll be revisiting that number constantly. And for instance, that musical keyboard room, the reason I felt okay about expanding its capacity is that we still have enough money in the IT budget for that room to get 5 music workstations as opposed to just keyboards, which everybody's very excited about.
So Dory, under this scenario, just looking at these things in isolation, does the IT wash the furniture overage? Or
I
not-
think
not so much.
That's my feeling is that we're close enough that it's fine for us to borrow from the IT budget if we have a little bit left over there and put that in to cover your furniture. I was afraid Ryan would be in the room when I said that and have different opinions about it, but
The reason it's not low is because we already have a good replacement program, so we don't need to buy student devices or
That's-
teacher devices.
There you go.
that was huge, admittedly huge. Ryan, the one thing I'd say, again, that also just, I always want to keep checking this, is that that later conversation about video conferencing, that's not including any of that because that's coming out of you all directly. That's my current.
It's not in the budget, is that what you're saying?
Well, the rally bar type stuff. Yeah, that we did not because we met on that. So we have it anticipated, but I assumed that was not. So if that's something we need to talk about.
Yeah, that's something we gotta talk about, good.
Okay. A lot of the rest of it, is, that was kind of in your hands. But again, it all looks fine so far,
Good.
Yes.
Eric,
I think Eric is on.
was on.
Yes, Eric Bangsness, landscape architect with SMMA. We just wanted to give you a quick update on a few items site related. So what you're looking at right now is a revision we've made since the last time we met to the arts outdoor courtyard area. We made these updates for a number of reasons, and it's based on feedback we've sort of received along the way here. And the idea about with this is that we really wanted to make the space relate a little bit more to the architecture and sort of open up as you're exiting, let's say, LGI and heading to the west. We wanted this space to really open up and actually to capture more space that if you see in that image below,
It's happened.
Computer shut
No, I didn't.
Does Eric have the file to screen share?
Sorry, I'll see if I can.
Yep.
There it is.
there we go. So you can see we've captured more area in the new design. The other idea here was that we listened to the ideas about maintenance for planting. So what this design does is it incorporates more usable hardscape for the students, offering more and different seating opportunities, more opportunities for students to move through the space, and also creates very distinct areas that can be planted versus lawn. And you don't have the, let's say, shovel carved plant beds that you need to worry about maintaining over time. So the different planting areas are defined by hardscape. This area also provides, a patio for directly outside LGI, a lawn area that will create more of an open feel in the narrowest portion of the space closer to LGI, and creates a plaza and focal point as you're exiting the arts wing. But we did maintain the performance area, as you can see on the left, incorporating wheelchair spaces in the seat walls. So that's still been maintained, which we had previously, you can see. So it just provides more opportunities for students to use the space in different ways.
Just a quick question. In the performance area, in like one of those curved areas, are you going to have electricity to plug in?
There's going to be electricity mounted to the walls. We're not going to have like post-mounted electricity out in the space simply because we found those to be a maintenance headache over time. But there will be a number of wall outlets available for exterior use throughout the space.
Coming from the school?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Eric, just in terms of snow and maintenance, do you foresee the need to clear snow to all of those doors, but not clear the whole area? And I only ask because we don't have anything like this now. And it's a very complex area. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, typically, if it's the winter and you have a snowstorm, I think you could certainly, egress doors, I'm not sure what the program is right now, but I would think egress doors you'd want to keep open, but that typically can just be handled by creating a path out. We would presume that the emergency access that goes around the back of the school would also be plowed. So, a simple path, from the door out to an egress point probably would be sufficient.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you have to
Yeah,
do
like
the whole
it-
performance area and all that other stuff.
No, it's going to be a great space. It looks great. Thank you for doing that.
Eric, are those little stars or asterisks, is that lighting?
Yeah, so as you come out from LGI, those first smaller, the 5 smaller light fixtures in the lawn area will be bollard lights. And then as you move out and the space gets larger, we'll have a total of, I think it's 4 or 5, pedestrian height poles, 12-foot poles, just to give enough light in there to kind of capture the space. And and if emergency personnel are going around the school at night, they'll be able to see in, and there'll be good coverage in there. Plus, you'll get ambient light from the building.
Thank you.
And then just sort of an update, we further developed the pre-K play area, took the next step on that. So what you can see here is the concept is we've always had a play mound. And what we've done is we've sort of shrunken that play mound, made it a little bit more distinct and noticeable and tangible, and then incorporated a few play elements such as handholds that sort of, as you go up the play mound, kids can hold on to, and some of these half-round domes that will also provide a creative way for kids to traverse the mound. But what we've done is we've shrunk the mound. It used to be a central feature. We've shrunk it so that we could create more usable flat play space around it. There will be an accessible route that goes all the way around the mounding, and then we're going to use different colored surfacing that reflects the building facade and goes well with the building facade, and even create like a little gathering space, a smaller space that they could do, let's say outdoor reading circle or something like that. Those are some of the program elements we've further defined. We still have a shed, as we always have had. We'd like to incorporate the decorative metal fence back in, so we've done that, and we'll see how things go at the 90% estimate, but that's the plan right now, is to reincorporate that, and it will all be resilient rubber surfacing.
Okay, so the bottom round thing is like around, it's within the modding, but it's like a round circle rug almost.
Yep.
Which is awesome. I like that.
And Eric, what's the life expectancy on the rubber surfacing? Roughly.
That's a good question. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. It's we use it because it's very difficult to have let's say a softer accessible surface in a playground. So this is the material we use for every playground that we design. We don't design playgrounds typically with engineered wood fiber or wood chips. Those aren't accessible surfaces. So I forget what there is a warranty on this stuff, and it depends on what system you get, but I want to say don't quote me on this, but I think it's 8 or 10 years.
Yeah, I've seen 10. Eric, the fence and shed are aluminum?
No, the fence will be an industrial aluminum is the plan right now. The shed is going to be steel.
How high is that fence, Eric?
Usually 4 feet.
Okay, because preschool, right? They have a different height requirement, right? Yes.
They're shorter. I was gonna say they are.
No, because we're going through a playground at our youngest school, Meadowbrook, with ESSER grant funding. So we're kind of doing the same, like similar, like this rubber surfacing. And I thought I remembered Renee, the principal, saying that the fence has to be a certain height because it's preschoolers. And these are preschoolers. So I just want to throw that out there.
She did say something.
Yeah, there's.
For like DESI inspections, the width between the actual
It is, it's.
spacing matters, and then the height
Yes.
does as well, but that's.
It does matter. So just wanted to throw that out there.
And they'll climb over too.
Yeah, we've typically used 4 feet. That's pretty standard in schools that we've done, even that are like pre-K through through 5. I mean, if there's another height, feel free to let me know, but I've never heard of 4 feet not being acceptable for pre-K. And the slats, those vertical pickets will be a maximum. I think they're usually 3 3/4 inches on center, so that you don't have to worry about the that meets the maximum 4-inch,
Thank
requirement.
you.
It's like 4 feet is the minimum. Unless it's on a roof, then it has to be 7 feet.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, we try to avoid going too high, obviously, because we don't want the playground to feel like they're locked in a cage. So
Razor wire.
yeah.
Eric, with all the things inside of the fencing, how many students roughly would you say would be in there safely and? No?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So typically the way it works is when you design a playground, it's a certain number of square feet per student. That playground is about 1,100 square feet. And so, if it should be able to accommodate, 10 to 15, which is I think what the design program was, going back to the beginning.
Eric, when you say that number, you're talking 10 little guys and 10 big guys?
No, it's by student only. So they don't, as far as I know, they don't factor in, the adults into that. So the areas, let me 1,100 divided by. Yeah, so typically it's 75. It's typically 75 square feet per student. So if you take 1,100 square feet, that's good for about 15 students, but we know the number was somewhere between 10 and 15. So that should also accommodate some adults.
Yeah, so you'll probably have about 10 to 12 little kids, and then we usually have about 10 big kids, high schoolers. So.
Yeah, I would imagine sometimes there are people on the outside of the fence looking in. Not all of them are in there at the same time?
We don't have a play area now.
Yeah, this is fantastic. This is going to be, Eric, this is going to be great. I'm so excited about this part. I hadn't even focused on this and the colorfulness. It's going to really step up that program. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Isn't it? Is the classroom even that big?
Like the same as class.
It's like 35 by 30.
It should be.
They're all set.
Be fun.
They're lucky. Yeah.
No, it was a team effort. JWA had some great thoughts on this too. And so it was a nice blending of ideas that led to it. So.
And they need this for that program. Right now, they're housed inside because there's really no great exterior space to go to before the construction started, and there's definitely not now. So thank you guys.
And that's accessible from the classroom as well, right? There's a door that opens
outside.
Yes, there's 2 gates into it. And then, one of the reasons we cited that other, if we can quickly zoom back into that slide. One of the reasons that we cited the other gate where we did on that is that it's at that lower left corner because that's sort of beyond the parking. So they can bring the kids out that lower left gate and actually bring them onto the gated emergency access path. And that can be used for riding tricycles and things like that as well. That's another option.
Tricycles in the budget? Do we get tricycles?
That counts as equipment, yes.
Let's do it.
Nice.
Is that going to be open for parents to use like eventually?
Dramatic decision that you will
Okay.
have to make, and I know that there had been discussion.
But there was some.
Absolutely not.
Oh, we're gonna have a place, because if you have parents parking
Yes.
here to watch games, and they're gonna keep the kids there, so that's. a
Climb over the
decision. You
fence.
guys will have to figure out how to deal with that, because you will probably have that.
Well,
think-
is it a durability issue? though?
Barbed wire.
Yeah, I it's an
Electrified.
idea.
Bad idea. Okay, no, that's fair. I think that is.
Yeah,
Boat.
I think so.
Alligators.
I mean, the town.
You could end up with more kids going total house.
Yeah, I know. I just want to encourage use of,
That the whole.
the nice facilities that we have, like where the new playscape, we want to leave open on purpose so that kids can use it all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't want to also ruin it in a year either.
Yeah.
I mean, there could always be like, maybe there's a small summer program and the kids are littles and maybe they could go in there for a summer program, but it's very regimented and organized and that kind of thing.
Supervised.
Supervised.
Supervised, good word, yeah.
It's also just a specific space. It's not like it's a playground for second graders, third graders, fourth graders. It's a pre-K. You're talking about
Yeah.
space for 4 or 5-year-olds,
Yeah.
I hate to see Yeah, like I just.
Yeah.
See.
The big.
No.
You told me, Frank, we're on the same page.
Go out there and destroy
Lock
that
that thing
thing
up.
weekend, you know?
Is it lockable? It's lockable.
Well, that's what I think.
Can we make it lockable?
Yes.
We can make it lockable, right, Eric?
The one, I will say the one at Chog is not accessible to the public. It's just designed for that program.
Perfect.
Send them to Meadowbrook.
Yeah.
We had a brief discussion, I'll admit, about
Fine.
the path beyond that he's talking about, that leads out to, and, should we, put road striping for tricycles on it, and I sort of thought we should not, because it's a high school.
Okay.
I mean, they'll still use it, but given that, I've worked in early childhood ed, I've seen the way that program can expand beyond, quite easily, and you could use chalk out there and other things, but it
Right.
felt like not a great idea to start allowing that program to extend beyond.
The pre-K teachers will take they'll draw a line.
Yeah, exactly. That's more fun anyway.
Yeah, it'll be squiggly.
Excellent.
So another important topic of conversation is right now we own a school ID sign out at Maple Street. That school ID sign does not have a message board component to it. So we had a meeting, since this had come up a while back, we had a meeting in the middle of September roughly with Rob and with Tom about the potential to provide an electronic message board somewhere, between, let's say, Maple Street and the front of the school. And long story short, what we expected is that Rob indicated that would require a variance. So what we'd like to talk with you about today is to see, would you, as the committee, like to pursue a variance to install an electronic message board? That's one question. Another question is, what would you like this to be? Since it's not allowed by zoning right now, the consensus in the meeting was that it should be something, it should probably be something lower key, without necessarily much motion, if any motion. Thank you, Dory. So this is a message board we did at our school recently that you can see, and it's very simple. There's no pictures or motion or flashing or bright colors. It's simple red text on this one. Happens to be about 2.5 feet tall by about 8 feet long on a base. We would obviously do a base that's more in keeping with the school sign here, but we just wanted to get your thoughts on what you would expect from something like this and if you want to pursue it.
We talked about having something like that a little closer to the school so we wouldn't have to get a variance.
If you go back one.
Turns out it does not matter how far it is from the.
I didn't think it would.
Interesting.
That was our thought too, that if we put it far enough away, we could just put it on, but no such luck.
So you need a variance if you want that kind.
Correct.
Regardless. You'd have it at the back of the.
Yes.
So the reason why planning doesn't allow them is because the town in general doesn't want these signs all around town. 6-7 years ago, Walgreens put one up.
Yeah.
And the town said, take it down. So it's hypocritical, I think, for us to go for a variance and then in the future to say to other companies, you can't do it when we put one on our property.
Could Walgreens have gone for that same variance?
No,
That they didn't have the option?
it's not allowed in the zoning, so they're not gonna just allow it because you ask.
Okay.
I mean, they might,
They could have,
we ask as a town,
they could have gone for a variance.
It's a
They
precedent
probably were
setting.
Told that
they had to spend money to take it down.
bother.
Yeah, right. They had to spend money to take it down. So I don't know. I think it would be a mistake for us to set that precedent because we will see them all around town 10 years from now.
So I'm gonna ask, the sign on the top is okay because it's not lit up, is that correct?
Right.
It's not backlit.
It's not backlit,
It's lit.
okay, but it would be lit going up toward it. I think that looks nice. I think it looks classy. Nobody has to maintain that once it's there. Lots of times you get the little lights on the other thing, and if they want, we could do it closer to the school and that's okay. Like you have the other circle, but if the light bulbs don't get changed, or then you see the little holes in it, and someone's got to maintain that, who's in charge of making sure that's updated and all that kind of stuff. They're nice to have, but like at the school I'm on right now, it just has welcome to, the school, and they never changed the sign. So I think the one on top actually makes me feel like I'm looking like at the Quarry Stone.
And the one on top is there no matter what. That's it.
No, I like that. I think that looks classy.
So it's not about the motion of the LED, it's about the backlit nature of it.
Yeah, and I would say, right, if the school and you guys want it, the only thing I would argue is that if by putting it further on the site and you're asking for a variance because it is so far on the site, that's something that Walgreens could not do. Or if they, if they had a.
When they put it 20 feet back.
Potentially.
That's what I'm saying. That I think we just set that precedent.
Yeah.
If we go for the variance and we allow the variance, how does the planning board say no to anybody in the future?
The zoning regulations were very broadly written, and so it was hard to interpret whether, putting it 200 feet into the site, are you suddenly okay now? So I think we were being very conservative on how we were interpreting that. Maybe it would want to get clarified in the future, but
I don't know of any in East Long. Do you?
No, so the variance condition would certainly set a precedent,
Yes.
but it would also be site specific. To Christian's point, it's 300 feet from the street.
Can we put it on the building or in a window of the building to make it comply with the regulations?
Well,
We're trying to get a message out to the people that are driving up, right? Is that what we're trying to do?
Well, I think, your concern is about setting a precedent on the zoning issue, but I think from the school's perspective, they have an existing message board that was defined by the technology of 1972 probably. And in 2024, that technology would be replaced by this to do the same thing. So the function of messaging is what I think we're trying to put in place. And would that functionally, do you want to replace it with something that is functionally updated to today and go for the variance to make that possible and then establish that precedence from the school's perspective?
I would prefer that the planning board address it and change our planning bylaws to meet the needs if they think it's there. But as of now, it's not. I mean, what I'm saying, the rules are what they are because that's what the community agrees. That's what we want. And until the community agrees we want something different, which would be a change in the zoning bylaws. Other towns allow it by right?
Right.
I don't think I guess it would be, somebody's got to push it, but I don't know. I don't want them in East Long Meadow.
Frank, how do you feel as principal?
So I get where you're saying from the taxpayer perspective. From my role, I would love to have that signage. The process that we have now is not easy, especially now with, some fencing that's out around there. So
You mean manually block letters?
it's a pain.
What do you want to tell people? Though? What's the message?
Upcoming events, dates of graduation, dates of prom, nights for sports. Welcome back messages, first day of school, report cards are coming out. Like we can
put
fill
that-
that populating.
Could we put that at the main entrance as people walk in and they could read that? I don't know.
And we do have that.
Yeah. Where it's located right now is a pain. And it doesn't get updated.
Talking about the existing sign, yeah.
Where it's not get updated on a regular basis because of where it is. If I can log into a computer and update it, I'll have that updated weekly.
So would you be okay with it up against the school?
Are you hoping parents are gonna see it while they're driving by?
South Hadley High School has it. I've seen it. I like how they have it out there by the main road. So as you're driving by, you just have an update. It's like a quick hitter of like something good that's happened at the school.
So community members who wouldn't necessarily be entering the school would have access to that.
That's where I would go with it, and I have people point out to me all the time, your sign hasn't been updated,
No, I think it's great, Frank. Next,
One of those people.
you put next Saturday, the concert.
I want to have a nice.
Concerts are coming up.
Good point.
It is a good point.
Like I send out weekly updates of all the different things
It's
that are
just
happening.
another modality.
If you're not a
Yeah.
parent in my school, you don't know all the things that are happening,
Yeah.
So that's where it's an opportunity to share information with the community where they might not necessarily have access to that information. Like they can go and find a schedule of Mass Live, but they don't know what the concerts are.
And it's cheaper and less.
Yeah.
So you would want it on the road.
I would, but I'm looking through it, like, you talk about this being a community resource, like, let's talk to the community and share our info.
Yeah. So the obtrusiveness of this more than Walgreens too would be that it is in a residential zone and not a commercial zone, right? Which Walgreens is. So you're talking about an LED sign that everybody that lives on Maple Street is gonna have to look at 24/7, 365.
Can you set times on it?
Though I will say,
Shut the sign down?
that is why we were
Right.
proposing that.
Turns off at
it be,
10 o'clock, it turns on at 7 AM. Something like
It's
that.
web-based, you can kind of.
So how big is
Be
the sign that
able
we're
to do
putting up? Because it says on our bylaws, we have a 20 square foot maximum area for signs in a residential district for a school.
That's what that one is.
That's
Well,
what-
that, no matter what, adding an LED message board is going to make the amount of sign over what is allowed by zoning. So right now that the sign on the top there, the way the bylaw is written, that is the 20 square feet that is allowed by zoning. So anything beyond what you see there would go above what is allowed by zoning. And it's
So we
only
need to
measured on one
that.
side.
Having an additional sign makes this go.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yes.
be aggregate.
So we need a variance for that as well.
Yes, you
I get it.
leave twice.
And like I said to them when we had this conversation first, as the applicant, I'd be happy to go fight for a variance if that's what this committee wants. That was where we sort of ended our meeting was we can decide if this is what we want. I'll go sit there and take the lumps.
But as town manager, do you want these all around East Long Meadow?
No,
So how do you say no in the future if we ask for it now?
it wouldn't be up to me. It would be up to the zoning board of appeals, but they're allowed to make a decision on a case by case basis. That's their prerogative.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody else wants to put a high school up, then yeah.
Give them a sign.
In schools.
If you did
So-
go with that, I like the sign that they do have in West Springfield. It isn't the red, it's more, I think it's more like white light. It's like subdued. I could send a picture. I just think it kind of fit. And it would fit with this school too. It just kind of
Simple.
was less, and I know that you don't have the colors right and all that on that.
Does that one have a message? It just says.
Does, yeah, it says welcome home of the Terriers. That's all it says. Nobody changes it.
Can they change it?
I'm assuming that,
You know,
it's just whose job is it? And if you're willing to do it, that's great. But is the next principal gonna be willing to do it?
Can I speak up on that technology side of it for a second?
But it does look good.
Yes.
We had an internal discussion about this and we've been working on specs at the same time. And there are two approaches to these types of signs. One is the more capable LED resolution that looks more clear. And the other is the less. What we're showing you is the very simple monocolor
Black, yeah.
red and black. The other approach can do a lot of things. It can also be simpler. It's all depending on what you put on it. So in talking with Ryan, the school's internal digital signage system that you see will be extended onto new monitors. And the school will have the ability to send, full color image. So you can extend that level of resolution to that sign. And it wouldn't look like a Christmas holiday light message board the way these do, or you can keep it simple. I don't know which you prefer visually as an option. So that's just one thought to keep in mind. The other is, I agree with that point. It's in a residential area. Part of why we were thinking of not having it at the road is so that it wasn't annoying to the community that did not like it, but it was still giving information to parents. And by pulling it into the site and maybe that question mark site's not the right location, maybe it needs to be between the two parking spaces or somewhere.
That's probably 10% of the families that drive by that every day, though. That's not,
Right.
you're not gonna hit a, it's not,
Head anybody.
I don't think a sign internally anywhere.
No, I think it should be at the road.
Huh?
I said we should do it at the road.
Well, I think it's I think that's the only value is to have it on the
I
road.
think the other thing that would make it less hypocritical is Walgreens is trying to sell things. We're trying to communicate with the community.
I'm against it because I don't want to see them in East Long Meadow.
I just mean. in
I
terms of
think
their
if
prerogative
we,
To say, we're not gonna let
if we as the-
businesses, you know what I mean?
if we as the town though, condone them for our own properties, I just don't know how we say no to others. I get, it's good for a school.
That's what I meant, like the purpose of it. It's not to advertise for profit.
But the problem with the sign is the aesthetics of it.
Yeah.
And so it's still aesthetically the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we could probably get the variance.
This is why we wanted to have the conversation. I'm with Beth's first comment. I think the sign out front is classy and I don't need to communicate with, that's not, I didn't want to make that decision. But if that's the decision the committee wants to make, I'll go sit in front of zoning board and make that argument all day long.
Is there any kind of trend in the other schools you design?
Classy look.
Like, do people generally do this?
I
Generally
think it's
not?
very dependent on it. So we did an elementary school in Granby that was on a major state route that did not have a bylaw. And they wanted the community to feel more a part of their school. So they put it right there on the state route. And it was an elementary school that was right next to a high school. So they were able to use it for their whole, right, come to the football game, come to the basketball game. At another recent school in Gardner, the school was much more removed from the main road. They had a similar bylaw. They didn't want to fight it, but they put it towards the top, kind of where we're recommending with the question mark there. So I would say in general, here it's a little bit more difficult because you do have the two entrances off of Maple. So which one do you target? But I think they are helpful in getting information out to either the parents or the community as a whole. But the zoning does create complications. So it's very district dependent.
I was against it till Frank said it would be useful, so that's why I think it's worth it. Because my concern would be the same thing now, just sit there, not be updated and say, have a nice summer, and it's October. Right.
That's what Frank.
Well, there's fence.
I mean, Frank, is
No, it
there,
says Spirit Week now, doesn't it?
is the trend, do you find that communicating with families is becoming easier through their absorption of the internet, that maybe this is less necessary than it was? And
Communicating with families is obviously a priority for me. I
Yeah.
constantly. Communicating with the community is much harder because I don't have those natural avenues of doing so. So this is just to give that opportunity, so I'm looking at it through my role as principal. And if you're asking the principal, would he want it? 100%. If it's, whether it's me updating it or my other staff, like I have people I can assign this to update weekly, and it'll take, these systems are easy to navigate. They take 5 minutes. We have we have screens around our building just like these where we update those weekly with pictures of the great stuff our kids are doing and dates of important things happening, and like it's a good thing, so I just see this as an extension of some of the stuff we already do. It's not something new and different. It's an extension,
Other entrance, how much room is there? Is there still the two entrances to Maple?
Yeah, there will be. Yeah. So, and again, like I'm
That's
looking at it through my role as principal, if this committee and, the community doesn't want it, it is what it is. So.
What if we go
Yeah,
to
the northeast entrance is very, just as something to consider, that northeast entrance is much closer to a residence, whereas, the main entrance to the school, where the school sign's going to be is, there's a residence across the street on the corner of Melwood, and there's residences either side, but there's far more green space, let's say, between the driveway and the property lines.
the planning board would decide on a variance request that goes directly to planning, Board of Appeals. What if we go to the planning board and ask for a change to our zoning bylaws based on new technology and
We're not gonna have enough time before we have to submit to change the zoning bylaw.
Then it's gonna go to council twice, right?
Planning board and council twice.
So does that answer our question for us?
Exactly. Is that just?
no, they want to go to ZBA and go right to one.
No, if we wanted to change the zoning bylaw, so we
Oh.
didn't need a variance,
Ah.
it would take.
You know, looking for discussion from the community in terms of
Exactly,
input
the
from those
community.
that.
Could you do both?
One would be faster than the other.
Yeah, no, I mean, we could,
Go for the variance, then after the fact,
yeah, I think we'd actually have to,
changing the bylaw to
we'd have to
what we're doing.
ask for a amendment to the site plan at planning board.
Mhm.
Get denied based on zoning and then go to zoning board.
Okay.
So I mean, that's gonna take from
Just to get to ZBA?
just to get the ZBA.
I mean,
that's 6
possible, yeah.
Just in advertising, because you gotta notify all the abutters.
So this is not to change the the zoning.
No,
would
just
be
to
get
do
the
that
variance.
sign at that question mark.
Would take at least 6 weeks.
Cause you can't go
Some
somewhere.
variance until you get denied.
Right. I'm just clarifying,
Yeah.
because there's two different things.
Yeah.
You're looking not to, or the question mark, to do it up by the road, right? If-
Well, then,
or
well,
Need a
I
variance
don't know that you,
regardless.
yeah, whatever,
Regardless.
either way. Unless somehow you change the design of the sign at the road to include LED and be less than 20 square feet.
No, because
But Greg, maybe.
Yeah, but the backlight.
Compromise in this
Yeah.
process too is if you should go to
No, I mean, if it does, that would be the only
time
variance,
constraints on it.
would be the
The
LED.
school can easily adhere to, but a business probably would not want to. You get what I'm saying?
No.
So if we only run our signs from 7 AM to 9 PM.
Yeah.
A local business might not want to do that and go through the process of putting one in because they have to turn it off every night or turn it back on every morning. You know, so.
Without that being a zoning law, that's not enforceable.
No, I'm saying
anywhere
if you were looking to put something.
as a
like that.
precedent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you change the zoning just to say it's allowed on town property, but not public, private property?
The process of changing a bylaw by the charter just takes that long.
No, I know, but I'm saying if after you've gone through the zoning board of appeals and then we decide, okay, this is a thing now, let's get it.
Well, so, and this is.
Just be,
This was the conversation was starting and it was Greg's point at the beginning was, we're not gonna make up rules for us and make everybody else follow something else. That, I don't wanna do that.
Yeah.
Which is why we went through site plan review and have gone through the whole process the whole time. But again, this is a large committee. And I will push forward their will.
Let me ask a different question. Do any of these timing variables that you're hearing about, do they affect your work in any meaningful way?
I think we're in the same position we were in before, that we can put it into the drawings and apply for the variance, and that can take time, and it'll be there, it'll have been costed out in a part of the drawings. So in terms of the variance path, that seems viable to still having it in the project. I think the bylaw change thing seems a little bit harder to imagine happening.
Okay, can we go to the planning board, and I will go if you want, and just have a discussion with the planning board, and if they are comfortable, a majority of them, with the idea, then perhaps we go for the ZBA, because I agree with Frank, there is value to it, and I want to get people in this building. We want to get people to use this building, and so if that's going to get them here, but can we convince the planning board that there's value to that?
Community building,
Right.
right? This is gonna be one of the invites.
Yeah.
You know,
can I send you guys a picture? I'll take a picture tomorrow and I'll send it. It's lighter. It's less bright. You can still read the sign, but it's not that bright white light that they have now. It's going to be kind of yellowed out light, and it looks more cohesive with the building itself.
Yeah.
I'll take a picture. I'll go for a walk.
Let's do that.
I will just point out that when we were discussing locations, Rob felt that something in the site, could potentially have a little bit more, or may be viewed a little bit more positively than something directly out by the road. So it just, again, that's just something that we had discussed during the meeting.
I also was thinking about that too, because it seems like the consensus here has been, well, it's for the community.
Yeah.
So it needs to be out by the
It's
road.
got to be on the road.
Just so we're clear on the direction there, this we like there, right? Are we imagining two signs then in the same general location? Are we imagining incorporating the two together?
It wants to be integrated somehow,
Right.
otherwise it looks like a
Okay,
mistake.
just want to be sure we're all talking about the same thing.
We'll have to redesign this one then.
So this will be redesigned, and
How does that look? Is that historically how you do them?
It is a good looking sign.
You historically combine them?
We have.
we have, yes.
Okay.
I think like right now, right, we have one in another town working on right now where it's integrated. You still want the solid, real, readable lettering. So I think what worries me a little bit is the scale of that street view and not having the sign get so big that it's overwhelming, so trying to do both will be the challenge. So it'll probably be a little bit bigger than this, but I think we want to keep from getting
And then we would still need a variance on the size as well.
right,
Slightly.
for sure. Don't you think?
Which, again, is another, why do we have it set at 20 square feet if you don't really mean that?
To keep big gaudy signs off the street line. I mean.
Yeah, we're gonna make right now.
You know, and that's ours. It's different than when you're trying to, you know,
I'm
sell.
cool with it. I just don't want to be hypocritical and I don't want East Long Meadow to be Las Vegas Strip. That's all.
Aside from the Chase Bank that's got purple lights.
Yeah, I mean, because we didn't
That was,
we didn't do enough to stop it.
they could have made it look like any of the other Chase
Yeah.
banks that don't look like
The
that.
town could be glowing and we
I
don't.
don't have to-
That's all. But I think there's value in it. So I'm up for the discussion. I don't mind talking about it.
I appreciate it.
So you want to, you'll keep it in the plan?
I'll have some conversations also. Yeah.
Keep it in the plan and push it towards the street.
On the street, right?
Right, street integrated with the.
Integrated.
with the sign.
Can we put that sign at the other entrance?
Or by like the St. Michael's parking lot.
Yeah.
Mark, do you guys have a full permit right now?
I
think Michael-
You have a full building permit?
We have a foundation and steel permit.
Yeah, putting it down there, you'd be putting
I
it.
don't have a full building to the drawing.
Yeah.
Dory, if you guys put something on the documents that becomes part of a permit set, isn't that immediately gonna get kicked? Because they're gonna say, you know,
No, we would apply for the variance at the same time. And the permit says, so you mean, we'll go ahead and request that variance. And that'll go through the process. We just want to be sure that the cost of the sign is anticipated in the
Yeah.
scope of work. And we won't actually be finalizing the installation of that for some time. So it gives us time to remove it, but we don't want to change our minds down the road and add it.
As soon as you have a rendering, can you send it our way so we can have discussions with the town side just to show them what we're thinking? Is that something we could create? soon?
Yeah, visual would be good.
Yeah.
I think what we are, Eric, going to have to do is also take a little bit of look at the different lettering technologies, because that changes fairly quickly. And I think in some ways we want to be absolutely sure we get you the right one.
And Dory, you're right to say that we don't want to blast the neighbors out. I think so. You've got the right focus, I believe. Yeah.
That was my other thought too, is, you know, the one on the top, it's there, it's gonna last. And the lighting one, there is gonna have to be upgrades moving forward. It might not be for 10 or 20 years. We're gonna have to think about how is that gonna happen? Where is that funding gonna get from and what's it gonna look like? Because things are moving this fast right now in terms of anything electronic. But anyways, I'll send you a picture of the one I like. Yes.
So just to bring this back full circle, it sounds like Greg, Tom, you're gonna have some discussions potentially with the planning board. So what we've done for now is, since this is not in the project scope per se, is that we've written this in to capture the cost in the 90% set. We've written this in so the cost is captured. But I don't know that you would want to show this on a site plan until you actually go for that variance and get it. You know what I'm saying? It's fine to include the cost, but I wouldn't show something that doesn't comply with zoning
Yeah.
on the drawing set right now.
Right. I'm just thinking, like, when we go for full permit, that's a month from now. We're going to have to acknowledge in that application if we're requesting a variance on that and provide some information on that.
I would think you could do that afterward, because again, the project receives site plan approval. So that is what you're getting a building permit for, but you could, this can be its own, I would think. Tom, maybe you correct me if I'm wrong, but this should be able to be its own application, I would think.
Yeah, well, I mean, we would be amending the site plan. So I mean, at some point, the sign location has to show up on the plan. There's nothing to deny.
We can talk about it, Eric, we'll figure it out.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I think in order to get the variance, you need to have those located, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they'll need the design as well. So, yeah. We're gonna need it all.
Eric, you had one more topic if we did not give you a slide.
Oh, that's okay.
The scoreboard at the football field.
That was just about the question about interface between the press box and the scoreboard. We are a little bit unclear. The direction is that we're obviously keeping the scoreboard. We're transitioning to a new press box. And we are unclear on whether or not the technology that's currently in place that controls the scoreboard can easily just be moved into the new press box, or if that needs to be replaced.
You're keeping the existing scoreboard? You were saying?
Correct, Eric? That
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
At the main, yeah.
At the stadium. Yep.
Should paint it or something. Yeah, it's like pink now, yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a, note about whether that's a wireless interface or a replacement. So it's wireless, so then it shouldn't be difficult to relocate that. I guess,
We bring out the panel. Whenever we have a game, we just pack it up and put it away when we're done. So.
right.
It's just power, the Cat 6, you plug it into it, do you know?
I thought it was fiber.
Is it a fiber to that? Yeah, Mac would know. Cause.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's been a while.
Sorry?
You can unplug and use it, Jamie?
Yeah.
So it is wireless, all you need to do.
Yeah, because
Oh, okay. All right.
panel used in the stadium can also be used in the gyms.
So if it's wireless and movable, then we don't have to worry about it too much as long as we've got
As long as you have that infrastructure,
power and fiber there anyway. Okay.
They won't.
in which we are running fiber. So I think.
We just wanted to make sure there was nothing that needed to be salvaged, but it sounds like that Fontaine doesn't need to worry about salvaging that equipment.
Say no.
Because you have it, you bring it to every game anyways, right? So
Verify. I don't think there's any, like, you go into that press box when there's not a game.
It's just a box you can pick up, yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Or do we have scoreboards at baseball and softball?
Yes.
Varsity only.
Yes, correct.
Same panel from the stadium.
How many is the question?
For baseball is also one for the gym.
One-on-one.
Eric, the question's scoreboard for
Too close.
baseball, yes, baseball.
All field lead all.
On top of it, 1-on-1, I think, pretty sure, right?
Sorry, I can't hear the, say again.
Scoreboard, baseball and softball, I think you got 1-on-1, correct?
Correct. Yeah, varsity baseball, varsity softball, each have their own scoreboard.
I mean, those could be wired for the new stuff.
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't happen in the new because it's moving so far away from where the stadium is. You're on the footprint of new buildings. And
It's 1-on-1, Steve, one each.
used to be the cross baseball were the two that would have conflict.
New business?
Uh,
I'm sorry, were you guys done? You're done.
Yes, unless I think there's a committee question then. Solar canopies?
Yes, Beth, you had
Oh,
reached out regarding the,
You're all gonna groan when I say this. But I'm asking because it's a thing. So I was wondering, because I noticed that they have them over at the church on Westwood. And where I am right now, there's a couple leaks in the roof, and guess where the leaks in the roof are? So here we go. Would it be possible, and will we get more bang for our buck, if we put, hate to say it, solar canopies over part of the student parking? So it's not right in front of the school, it's off to the side, and maybe it would take up less space to get the same number of panels on that. We did it like in the center run. I know it ruins the landscaping. I know it looks horrible.
Instead of,
On the roof. And then there's not more holes in the roof. If there's a situation with that, we're not removing it. I know we have to still put the work into the school to have it be solar ready, the roof. But if we could do that on the side, I have no clue. I know they're doing it now at Lennox, and it could just be a ridiculous amount of money, but what is the thought process behind that? Would we be allowed to do it? Is it just gonna be way more money? Or could it just be easier because we could put up, I don't know how many square feet of arrays you're gonna get up there, but could we get that many square feet in a lesser space on the ground over parking? And that's me putting solar panels out in public, and I hate them. So I feel that is where they belong better than on the roof.
Yeah.
that's your courage is noted.
Over tar.
Yeah, unfortunately, the bottom line, Ben mentioned this, and we had everybody check in on it. I mean, even originally, the reason why we didn't advocate for that is the cost of the steel and concrete to support that is significant.
I know, I saw them going up over there and
That's all hot dip galvanized, so it's very expensive.
Yeah. And
Plus, we have to update the site plan.
I'm highly aware of that, and I know it just, okay. Because I thought like, well, if the church can handle that, which I'm sure somebody is invested in that.
And partly the church is probably doing that because they don't want to retrofit their roof to support all of that PV. So in a retrofit situation, you're often gonna look at that, or if you have lots and lots and lots of resources and you just want to get every square inch of your site to the degree you can, because it would certainly generate. I thought you might be looking to add to the system this way, which would generate more electricity, but
No, it would be like,
budget isn't there currently to do that, and ground mounted would be more expensive than the roof mounted that we already have in the budget.
okay.
Also a more challenging maintenance agreement,
Yeah,
with kids parking in there.
and plowing and all the other things that you've worried about. It would probably reduce parking. We looked at it and thought a little bit about what impact it would have on parking.
All right, appreciate it. Right, great.
Hey, I love you talking about solar, Beth. Welcome. Yeah,
Trying to make $1 on this one.
just don't want to see it. Yeah.
Maybe we get a solar panel that has the messages that Frank wants to send.
Well, it's honestly a win-win.
Yeah.
You know.
And then there's no variance because it's a solar panel, right?
Thinking outside the box.
Is it for the new business? That, anyone else? Show of hands? Jumping up and down? No? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Crucial. All right, I'm a yes. Blair,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Christensen,
Yes.
Ms. Collins,
Yes.
and Mr. Quimby.
Yes.
When is the
All right.
next?
Thanks, everyone.
When's our next